Okay, so like Walden Media, you know what I'm saying? Walden Media was the company that made all those kids movies from the 2000s that we all watched, and then, we're all like, how come they don't make movies like this anymore? Like Holes, Bridge to Terabithia, Mr. Magnorium's Wonder Emporium, How to Eat Fried Worms, The BFG, or even later ones like that Dora the Explorer movie, where Dora's like, oh no, Boots, what are we gonna do? And then Boots is like,
so we moved to LA. My father gets a job at the Palm Restaurant. My Uncle Junior works there, who is a Jehovah's Witness, believe it or not. He went from Catholic to Jehovah.
And of course, the Chronicles of Narnia movies. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe came out in 2005, and it was like a huge hit, okay? I mean, it pulled in almost as much money as Goblet of Fire, which came out the same year, so like, this was a big deal. And yet, somehow, they only ever made 3 of them. Like, 2 were from Disney, 1 was from Fox, which is kind of hilarious, because guess who Disney owns now?
Everybody.
But since we're here in the winter holiday season, I figured, why not go back and check out the Chronicles of Narnia movies? Because the first one, at least, is definitely a Christmas movie, okay? You'll see what I mean. So come along, kids, let's take a walk. But before that, really quick, this video is brought to you by Skillshare. Well, somehow we all made it to the end of 2024. Who knew it was possible? Not me. And looking back, what a heck of a year it was. Just think of how far you've come and everything you've accomplished. I think the videos I made this year are some of the best I've ever done. Part of why I even do this whole animation thing instead of just talking to a camera like everybody else does is so that every video I make, I can see myself getting better at something, So when I look back and see like how much better I am at doing all this kind of stuff, I get this huge feeling of accomplishment. And so can you with Skillshare. Now, of course, Skillshare has classes about the kind of stuff you'd think they would, like how to animate, how to do motion graphics, but they also have business classes, self-help, productivity classes. There's a lot more here than you might think. So if there's anything you might want help on, like how to take better photos with your iPhone, or maybe you just want to pivot your career into something more fulfilling, or like almost literally anything else you can think of, really. And like, of course you can use Skillshare to level up your career and get into a new industry and all that, but also you could just learn stuff in your free time for fun, Not everything has to be all rise and grind all the time. And like, sure, you can use YouTube and stuff to learn things too, but like, you never know if the info's up to date, or like, is the playlist complete? You finish part 4, then it goes to part 7, and like, what are you supposed to do? So if this sounds interesting to you, guess what? The first 500 people who become Skillshare members using my link will get their first membership month completely free. You literally have nothing to lose. So click my link down below and get creative today. Okay, back to the show. The movie starts out with our 4 main characters, 4 siblings, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. It's 1940, and Great Britain is doing this thing called Operation Pied Piper, which is where the government designated areas of the countryside as evacuation areas where parents could send their kids. And in certain houses in said countryside were told to take in a certain number of kids. This is because Germany was bombing London and a bunch of other major cities, and turns out that's kind of a bummer. So parents sent their kids away like this.
Good man.
All aboard!
Hi, Daddy. Susan. Be a big girl.
It's kind of funny how like Harry Potter takes place in the 90s, but somehow everything looks exactly the same as 1940. Like nothing in the UK has changed for 50 years, apparently. So the kids end up way out in the middle of who knows where, in this giant house where they have to stay for who knows how long, with this very chill lady, Mrs. McCready.
Professor Kirk is not accustomed to having children in this house. And as such, there are a few rules we need to follow. There will be no shouting.
You mean like you just did right now? It's like when your parents yell at you, and they're like, well, what do you have to say for yourself? But I didn't. Don't talk back to me. Well, explain yourself.
Or running. No improper use of the dumb waiter. No touching of the historical artifacts. And above all, there shall be no disturbing of the professor.
My dude, your voice just echoed through the entire house. And so this is where our 4 main kids are gonna stay for a while. Maybe forever, who knows?
Vascular. Come on, Peter. Gastrovascular.
Was it Latin?
Yes.
Is it Latin for worst game ever invented?
Shut up, Edmund. Also, like, no, real talk. The worst game ever invented is literally any board game that people pull out at like a house party, and they're like, okay, so this one takes about 4 hours, but the first game's gonna take like 7 because we have to spend 3 hours teaching you how to play it, but like, trust me, it's so much fun, okay? You're gonna love it. And then I'm suddenly very aware of my ever-fleeting mortality. So eventually, all these kids decide to play hide and seek. Peter starts counting and everyone goes all over the house, right? The youngest one, Lucy, finds her way into one spare bedroom with a giant wardrobe in it, and she runs inside to hide. Ah, crap, I dropped my jawbreakers. Lucy goes into the wardrobe and suddenly she's in this giant forest just covered in asbestos. This wardrobe, of course, as everyone knows, is actually built from an apple tree that grew from an apple core that the professor himself brought back from early Narnia when he was a kid. Anyway, so as Lucy stands there slowly dying from hypothermia, she sees a certain something behind the tree.
Were you hiding from me?
Wait a second, is that James McAvoy? Professor Xavier! Quick, there's no time to lose! Magneto's got... Magneto's head is shrunk again! Please, you gotta help! What happened?
No. Well... I didn't want to scare you.
Sorry, I just want to interject here, but like when Tumnus showed up at this part, Kelsey turned to me and she goes, okay, so hear me out. Anyway, so this is Tumnus, a fawn/satyr, and he and Lucy very quickly become great friends, and he invites her over to his little hobbit hole and makes her some tea, and everything's great.
You would have loved Narnia in summer. And music, Would you like to hear some now?
Yes, please.
Wait, what? Lucy, what happened? This girl went from like 8 to 85 in 4 seconds. Just the youngest little old curmudgeon you've ever seen. This is literally all they want to do every single weekend. Incredible eyebrows, though. I mean, why is this 8-year-old girl getting her eyebrows manicured? Who can say? But they're doing a great job. Anyway, so then Tumnus starts to play his little flute thing. What kind of tea is this, Tumnus? So Lucy falls asleep and wakes up to see Tumnus in the corner being all emo, and she's like, "Sup, my dude?" And he's like, "I'm a bad fawn."
I'm kidnapping you. It was the White Witch. She's the one who makes it always winter, always cold. She gave orders. If any of us had to find a human wandering in the woods, we're supposed to turn it over to her.
And so, because Tumnus feels bad about what he did, he helps Lucy escape back to the wardrobe, and the White Witch never has to know. Wait, I'm sorry. How high is Peter counting in this game? Like, Lucy comes back from Narnia, and Peter's like, 437, 438... Anyway, so it turns out even though Lucy's been gone for like half a day or whatever, no time at all has passed in the real world and everyone's still playing hide and seek.
It's all right. I'm back. I'm all right.
Shut up, he's coming.
You know, I'm not sure you two have quite got the idea of this game.
Weren't you wondering where I was?
Yeah, you know, this is like when I had my wisdom teeth taken out and then I was gone from school for like a week and nobody even noticed? What do you mean I'm not the main character of the universe? Anyway, so as you can probably imagine, no one believes anything Lucy says because she's like 8 and magic is like stupid, okay?
We don't all have your imagination.
But I wasn't imagining.
That's enough, Lucy.
But that night, Lucy sneaks out of her room to go back to Narnia again, and this time Edmund follows her because she's being a little friggin' bratty piece of shit. So he follows her in the wardrobe, and what do you know? He goes right into Narnia. Except his experience is a little different from where, like, you know, instead of one of my girlfriend's top 5 hall passes showing up, it's a big old giant whatever this is. Wow. If that isn't just the most terrifying thing. But then this lady shows up and things start getting real weird.
What is your name, son of Adam?
Edmund.
You look so cold. Come sit with me.
No, Edmund, come on, rule number 1, never trust a white lady with dreadlocks. So Edmund sits with her and she has this like magic thingy dooter that makes any food Edmund could ever want. And for some reason he chooses Turkish Delight, which he just like demolishes. Like this kid is just pounding that stuff. Anyway, so this lady is the White Witch who calls herself the Queen of Narnia. Now, in case you haven't read The Magician's Nephew, turns out this lady is actually an interdimensional demon warlock. like I'm telling you, man, these books are insane. And for some reason, she's really interested in Edmund and his family.
I would very much like to meet the rest of your family.
They're nothing special.
And you are exactly the sort of boy who I could see one day becoming Prince of Narnia. course you'd have to bring a family.
And so she sends Edmund back to the lamppost where the wardrobe is, and Lucy's also there, and she's like, I had to amputate my fingers because of frostbite, but other than that, this place is pretty cool, right? And then they go back to the real world, and Lucy is just so excited to prove to Peter and Susan that Narnia's like totally, definitely real, okay?
I saw Mr. Thomas again, and this time Edmund went too. What were you doing, Edmund?
I was just playing along.
Frickin' Edmund, I swear to gosh! So later on, the kids are so bored they decide to play cricket of all things, and Edmund hits the ball right through a window. And of course they all freak out because Mrs. McCready's totally definitely gonna skin them alive, probably. So they all run to hide somewhere, and Edmund kinda sorta leads them into the wardrobe, and then wham bam bibbidi bow, what do you know, they're all in Narnia.
Impossible.
Don't worry. I'm sure it's just your imagination.
And so yeah, there they all are, just in Narnia. Lucy wants to take them all to Tumnus's house, but when they get there, the place has been demolished, ransacked, and Tumnus is nowhere to be found.
Fawn Tumnus is hereby charged with high treason against Her Imperial Majesty, Jadis, Queen of Narnia, for comforting her enemies and fraternizing with humans.
So after this, things are kind of set in motion. The kids meet these beavers who can talk, and they tell them that the White Witch is looking for them, so the beavers take them to their like little house place, and we finally get to kind of know what's going on here.
There's a prophecy. When Adam's flesh and Adam's bone sits at Cair Paravel enthroned, the evil time will be over and done.
You know, that doesn't really rhyme.
Yeah, I know it don't, but look, you're kind of missing the point.
So basically, there's this prophecy that Narnia will be taken over by the White Witch, and then 2 human boys and 2 human girls will fight her off with the help of some dude named Aslan and his army. And Peter's like, wow, that's pretty cool. What do you think, Edmund? And turns out Edmund snuck out in the middle of the story so he could walk all the way to the White Witch's castle, where she keeps all of her essential oils, I assume.
Then how dare you come alone?
I tried.
Edmund, I asked so little of you.
They just don't listen to me.
Couldn't even do that.
Oh, I did bring them halfway. They're at the little house of the dam with the beavers.
Frickin' Edmund! Now, the next chunk of the movie is Edmund being locked up in the castle while the other 3 have to escape from the White Witch's various attempts to capture them with just the most incredible CG reindeer you have ever seen. But one time, after escaping yet again, something a little different happens.
Merry Christmas, sir.
It certainly is, Lucy.
Ha! See, told you it was a Christmas movie. So after talking for a bit, Santa Claus reaches into his magic sack and has some special little somethings to help the kids with the upcoming war they have to fight. I mean, the coolest thing I ever got for Christmas when I was a kid was a Jurassic Park VHS tape. But yeah, okay, Santa Claus, whatever you say.
Presents!
The juice of the fireflower.
Yahoo!
And though I hope you never have to use it.
Thank you, sir.
Wait, what? Just giving this 8-year-old a prison shank. And this is for keeping the hose in line in the commissary. And Susan gets a bow with magic guided arrows and a horn that if she blows into it, anytime, anywhere, help will come. Like when she's on a date and the guy's like, yeah, so I'm thinking about starting the podcast.
Thanks.
Peter.
I give unto you a machine gun. Nah, actually, he gives him like a sword and a shield or whatever. Lame. Anyway, so then they get chased away yet again by the White Witch's weirdly American wolves.
Be still, stranger, or you'll never move again.
Yeah, okay, dude, you're from like Detroit or something, okay? How'd you get in here? Now, finally, the beavers take them all the way to Aslan's camp, where they're all preparing for battle against the White Witch, and here they finally get to meet Aslan.
We have come to see Aslan.
You know, like, okay, so the CG in this movie's kind of butt, right? But then Aslan looks better than, like, the new Lion King movie coming out. Like, the entire budget for this movie went to Aslan, and then they had 4 nickels left for all the green screens.
But where is the 4th?
That's why we're here, sir. We need your help.
We had a little trouble along the way.
Our brother's been captured by the White Witch.
Yeah, because he was being a little shit. And so, with the help of Aslan and his army, they rescue Edmund from the White Witch's camp, and Aslan gives him a real stern talking to, where he's like, I can't believe you think Ninjago's better than Bionicles. That's just crazy talk, Edmund. Now, soon after this, the White Witch shows up and says that Edmund actually belongs to her, according to Narnia house rules.
You have a traitor in your midst, Aslan.
His offense was not against you.
Have you forgotten the laws upon which Narnia was built?
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
Then you'll remember well that every traitor belongs to me.
And so they talk for a while, and what we come to find out is that Aslan offered himself up as a replacement for Edmund. And I don't know if you guys noticed this yet, but I think Aslan might be kind of like Jesus or something, you know what I'm saying? Especially given what happens next.
Wait! Let him first be shaved.
I was talking earlier about these Walden Media Kids movies. This is a PG Kids movie, okay? And hello? This is insanely dark, and this is just a movie for kids about kids. Just for reference, you know what else is a PG Kids movie? Kung Fu Panda. What do kids even have nowadays? Bluey and frickin' Mr. Beast? Oh boy. Anyway, so the White Witch kills Aslan, and Lucy and Susan see the whole thing, which must be just the most traumatizing thing for an 8-year-old, okay? Then they use the trees, whatever that means, to tell everyone about the death of Aslan.
Be still, my princes. I bring grave news from your sisters.
Okay, guys, so hear me out. And then it's finally time for the war between Aslan's army and the White Witch, who just goes full woo-woo crystal mommy for some reason. Good thing she has enough time to do all this before the war starts, okay? Like I've always said, if you're trying to take over the world, at least you gotta look like you just got back from a juggalo funeral. But then, just before the war actually starts, guess what happens?
It's Aslan.
Oh, Lion Jesus is back, everybody. And so, yeah, then the entire rest of the movie is just this giant war fighting thing where, again, in a PG movie, they're cutting off heads, they're stabbing dudes in the neck. This movie's insane for a kid's movie. Okay, guys, hear me out right now. And in the end, Aslan bites off the witch's head and her army falls back, Narnia is saved, and all 4 kids are crowned as kings and queens of the land.
To the glistening eastern sea, I give you Queen Lucy, the valiant. To the great western wood, King Edmund.
The always picked last for dodgeball.
To the radiant southern sun, Queen Susan.
The one who does nothing the entire movie.
To the clear northern sky, I give you King Peter.
The jawline. Mr. Tumnus, the nipple. And so after becoming kings and queens of Narnia, they hang out there for 20 years or so. And when they're all adults, they accidentally come across that lamppost from way back when they were kids. And then, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, what do you know? They accidentally go back through the wardrobe.
What are you all doing in the wardrobe?
You wouldn't believe us if we told you, sir.
Try me.
And that's the end of the movie. Yeah, so like I said, they do not make kids' movies like this anymore. So Walden Media would go on to make movies about Prince Caspian in 2008 and Voyage of the Dawn Treader in 2010. But Disney was upset with Prince Caspian because it only made back twice its budget. What a flop, am I right? And so now Netflix apparently has rights to the whole property. And so they're working on their own Narnia movies and TV series, set to be directed by Greta Gerwig and written by one of the guys who wrote Coco. So maybe they'll be good? Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please watch another one, because that's how the algorithm works. So click on this one that's being recommended to you right now, right here on the screen. It actually helps a lot if you do that, because that's how YouTube knows that my videos are worth caring about. Also, if you have any movies or TV shows you'd like to recommend, send me an email at alexmeyerscontact@gmail.com, and I'll put them on my absurdly long list of movies that I need to get to at some point. Anyway, hope I made your day a little bit better, and I'll see you all next time.